Hey, what's up, Glazers? Welcome to the next episode of Glass GPT. Today's topic is how Glazers should film content. And today's episode is purely about that. So, obviously, if you know who I am, you know that I am a perfectionist and an artist. I take content very seriously from like one end of the spectrum. And Keith, on the other hand, he's like high output, high personality, lots of entertainment, but we both are doing the same kinds of things. And like Keith's stuff and my stuff, they're coming together and mushing together in this podcast that you're watching. So in today's episode, we're just going to break down our processes of how each of us does our thing. So starting with Keith, so what is your philosophy and logic behind the content that we all watch on a daily basis?
Okay. I first on the outset of this want to say, as long as you're producing content consistently, there's really no right or wrong way to do it, because at the end of the day, we're chasing attention, and you can't have any attention if you're not producing any content. Now, that said, if you have time and you're like Brando, very artistic and creative, almost like a Martin Scorsese of social media content production, I am not, because my attention span is about this big, and I just want to keep blasting. Like when my pea brain has an idea, I want to put it on camera because I'm going to forget, and then post it out across the platform. So my go-to is what I'm on right here, is my iPhone, and it always has been. Over the years, I've had some pieces of content that had more production, kind of almost half of what you do, Brando. But again, I don't believe there's a right or wrong way to do it. The number one thing is that you're actually just doing it. And I think too many people get caught up saying, I can't start yet because I don't have the proper lighting. I don't have the cameras. I don't know how to edit. Like, if you got a cell phone and you can hit the record button, you can produce content, and you can always get better from there. My question to you, Brando, is before you started producing, like anybody that's seen your setup there, it's like you got a fucking a production studio there. Was it always that way, or did you ever start just on your cell phone?
Okay. Story time, since we have an hour to kill. I'm going to take you back to the very beginning. So I was once an installer, and of course, as a young installer with something to prove, I was proud of my work. And this is when the smartphones, so we used to have the walkie talkies that kind of look like this. You know, you flip them open or you did. Anyway, that's that. And so the very first smartphone that I had was called the BlackBerry Storm. And so this particular smartphone had the ability to take pictures. And so what I started doing is taking pictures with that BlackBerry Storm of the installs that we were doing. And I started to realize, like, oh shit, like that picture doesn't look too good with the duct tape on the corner. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the corner clamp on, peel the duct tape off just so I can take my picture, and then put the duct tape back on, and then silicone.
Yeah.
Or, let's start thinking ahead of myself on how I could take better pictures. And so that eventually morphed into having a catalog of pictures to present to people when we go measure. Check out episode Psychology of Glass Measuring. Having pictures is valuable. But anyway, I started building this catalog of photographs, right? They were shitty last little, photographs, but after doing it for year after year after year after year, I started getting better at my composition, my lighting, my planning. And eventually that led to video. And so I didn't start taking video seriously until about 3 or 4 years ago, when TikTok first started becoming popular. We hired this sales rep that was all about it, and he took it upon himself to try to make videos, like TikTok style videos. And at the time, you can just like upload a couple of video clips, upload it to TikTok, and it would just mix one for you and spit it out. And it was actually pretty good looking. So that was like my first motivation. I was like, oh shit. So then the same process started over again with just my phone, right? I figured out how I can like do basic. I've researched this, by the way. I eat, sleep, live, and live this like all day, every day. So I'm like, if I seem like I'm miles ahead, it's because I've been doing this a long fucking time, and I feel like I'm just getting started. But I do coach others on how to do this. So with just your smartphone, just do very basic movements: in, out, slide, left, right, up, down, orbit, use your grid lines. So I started taking that super fucking seriously too, and I started editing all those on my iPad. And that eventually led to like basically outgrowing the capabilities of my smartphone. And so then from there, I got the DJI, like the very like Model 1 of DJI smartphone gimbal. So I bought that. I could not figure it out to save my life, so I just put it on my shelf for a year. A year later, I opened it up again. I finally figured out how to run the controls, how to get smooth footage, and then I started to realize that in my footage, if there was bright light, the frame would be really choppy, and that's because all the settings were on auto. And then so I bought this course, content creator course, to learn about camera settings, and then I've got it figured out, ND filters, and then that led to like buying other cameras. And by the way, this is like never ending. So this is like a whole sick obsession on its own. Not really having to do with glass much, but it's like a passion of mine, and I can basically mix it in with glass. And so nowadays, my favorite cameras are the Osmo Pocket 3 because it has a gimbal built in. It's super easy to use. It can transfer straight to your phone. Has professional audio, and I actually let my buddy Rodney borrow that, and I might just let him keep it. And so today, this is what I use, right? So this is the Lumix S9, and this is a zoom lens. And the reason that I like the Lumix S9, by the way, I researched it for an entire year and a half before I bought it. That's how obsessive I am about this shit. So this camera right here, I can take professional. This is a full frame camera, by the way. I can take professional quality photographs with this camera and transfer them directly to my phone in a small file size. So that cuts out the editing completely.
Wait,
Save
you need cords?
no, no.
It's
I can
Bluetooth. It just Bluetooth.
yes. So this got camera of the year because it's a content creator's camera. And so it has another codec where I can take video clips. And there's this codec called MP4 Lite. And what it means is it's like a 50 megabit per second bit rate, which means that the file sizes are really small. Yeah, like this. So the file sizes are really small, but the quality still looks better than the cameras I had previously with like much bigger file sizes. And it records in what's called a open gate. So it records like the full width and the full height of the sensor, which means I can crop it for vertical, horizontal, square. I just have like more room to crop. And so I can transfer that directly to my phone within seconds. And so within seconds, I can have professional photographs and videos on my phone and I can post them immediately. Now, even though I have that ability, I still don't do that. I still take my time and I plan it out. But like my whole philosophy with the content thing is, I like stuff that I work on now probably won't go out until next month because I have like a train. It's like I have like everything scheduled. And the reason I do that is so that I don't get like burnt out. It almost happened, but the reason I do that is so that I know for a fact that I have consistent content coming out while I sleep. And if I want to take a week off, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off, for 3 whole weeks every day, I have stuff being posted on autopilot. And then I know when I come back, I got to batch a bunch of shit. But I have such a huge library of content that I can remix old content, use old photos from years ago. So I just kind of built this massive library of content that I can pull from, and I'm constantly looking for new ways to edit, take photos, do this, do that. And I also have clients, by the way. I help clients do this same thing, and I have a few clients, and for them, I also have a library of all of their stuff that they sent me from the past year. So like I can like remix, come up with different video ideas. But anyway, I guess the point I'm trying to make is like my philosophy is very different than yours in the fact that everything is like basically planned methodically, like well in advance. And that's kind of how I keep my sanity. Now, every once in a while, I'll get the urge to just do like what you did. In fact, I did the 30-day vlog challenge because I was like, fuck,
Yeah,
man,
I
he
love
does it.
that.
I want to fucking try it. And I did it, but it just takes like so much energy to go from start to finish, from idea to film to edit to post, even though it's just one video once a day, like that amount of energy. It wasn't like horrible, but it takes its toll. And after I did it, I was like, holy shit, man, I got a newfound respect for Keith. And so like and now, like, so when I do it, like if I'm going to record videos, I'll record like 20 all in a row for myself or my clients, right? I'll record
Oh,
20 videos back to back because each one of them is scripted for short form, right? So it's start, go, start, go, start, go. And then like the next day I'll have all edits. And then the next day I'll posting and captions, right? So that's kind of how I do it.
I actually really like that. Man, there's so much that I wanted to rebuttal there. Now I'm forgetting some of it. The
I know.
First of all, the obsessive part, I think if you're going to be really good at anything, you have to obsess over it. Because there's a learning curve. You're getting all the fears out of the way, all the little nuances, and the more you obsess and obsess, the quicker you're learning. I actually like to say, if you're failing, that's good. That means you're learning. And the quicker you can get all those failures out of the way, the quicker you're going to start to rise. Oh, I just remember my little pea brain. One thing I just started doing that I'm noticing a massive amount of success with is actually repurposing older pieces of content because my following has grown. Let's say because it comes up in my time hop on Facebook, and I started saying, well, shit, I can download some of these. The problem is the quality of the cameras that I was using back then, because they're in and out of my pocket. I've dropped them a million times. Looks like shit. But as early as 2 years ago, I started downloading these from the time hop or whatever the hell it is on Facebook, the memories, and started reposting. And I recently saw a video with Gary Vee talking about this, where him and even Mr. Beast, Gary Vee said there's been videos that he posted 4 or 5 times over the course of, let's say, a year. And on the fifth time, it finally went off. I just had one of these recently where, couple hundred, couple hundred, couple hundred. And then I reposted it 2 years later and it's got, 25,000. And so I'm not opposed to repurposing older pieces of content. Maybe I change the music, maybe I change the caption, but I think repurposing pieces of content is a good strategy if you're worried about output and you don't want to have the stress of coming up. Like you said, coming up with ideas can be exhausting on top of running your business, sales, managing people. It's a different type. It's not a physical exhaustion, but it's heavy because at the end of the day, your consumers that are watching this, the only piece of content that matters is the next one, right? We could have a million pieces and ideas, but you need to have the next one and the next one. And so me doing the content that I do, kind of on the fly, I just said to myself, something happens to me every single day that's probably worth being on social media. And so, fuck it. Why don't I just film that or talk about it and put it out there? And so that's worked well for me. I would like to graduate to a point where I have some of my content being edited like you. I'm going to need a full-time person following me around to do that. And I'm not opposed to doing that because I see the benefit. And anybody out there that's questioning, well, I don't really need it, I already have a lot of work, I would say this to you. We all have a lot of work. But out of that work, it's not necessarily all the type of customers that I want. I think we have customers that can kind of be a pain in the ass and they take 4 or 5 times longer to close than some of these other customers that meet you and they're very anxious and like, yeah, Brandon, what do we have to do to get going? Like, I want more of those customers. So if I can produce content and have a longer tail list of pipeline of people that are willing to do business with me, I can qualify them to find out which of those, the 80-20 rule. I want to try and get rid of the ones that are just kind of a pain in the ass and self-absorbed, selfishly taking all my time. And eventually they're not the ones that want to pay the most. They're never going to give you referrals. And, a lot of times we get stuck doing some of these jobs that we normally wouldn't do because there's a lull in business. So I say to you, the more content you produce, the more opportunities you're going to have. And eventually you can start hand picking which ones you want to do business with. The people that you collaborate with, the ones that respect you, the ones that are not going to beat you up for every dollar. I think we can all agree we'd rather have a shitload of those customers than the ones that are just draining on you and you just like scratch your head going, how does this person even get by day to day? Like the way you're negotiating with me. I can't
Yeah.
imagine.
And this is like a concept I see over and over, and I've experienced it myself in both industries because I am a professional content creator, have an agency. I'm also a vice president of a glass company, so I've seen this from both sides. And so, like usually, customers that are willing to pay the premium, they're the best kinds of customers. They're fully committed. They take direction. They get with the program. They're all in because they're fully invested. And the customers that want to beat you up for price and try to get a deal, those ones are the hardest customers to work with because they expect more.
They're
They hate
exhausting.
everything. Yeah, they hate everything. They want to make you revise or tear it out. It's kind of a crazy thing, and I learned that from watching a bunch of YouTube videos like in the coaching industry. People that coach people, like they don't take on clients that don't pay a certain amount because those clients that don't pay, they don't pay attention, right? They don't take it seriously. So yeah, I feel like content is huge, and I also agree with repurposing. I do that myself. In fact, I think a couple of days ago, I just reposted a video that I made for Frames Hardware Company back when my face was skinnier and my hair was shorter, right? It was like a little documentary series. Like it was maybe 2 years ago. I was like, oh shit, I found it. I was like, I'm just gonna repost it. And I did, and it's getting some good traction. And then like for my clients, I have every single piece of content I ever made for them, like organized by date, right? And job name. So if I run out of stuff, I can just go back in time and cherry pick. And not only that, but I have all the B-roll for any specific job for those specific projects. So I can like basically remix every single video like a billion different ways, which I think is the benefit of like saving, like as you edit them, like try to have a file structure and like save them, right? Or if you can't or don't want to, then you can hire somebody like me, and that's kind of like what I do. I'm not necessarily a videographer for most of my clients. I just organize files, edit videos, and post strategically and consistently. And that's one thing I preach also is that the power of social media. Like when you get to your level, you can post multiple times a day on all platforms because you've been doing it for so long. You got your systems down. You got the psychological thing down. You got the like, everything's going well, but I'm sure it took you a long time to get there. Like for me, I post like for my Bear and Glass, I only post 3 times a week consistently though. I've been doing it for years. One epic video and 2 carousels or 2 epic photos, right? Every single week. And so I can like capture a month's worth of content or 3 months of content in a single day if I play my cards right. But the key is consistency, right? Like this YouTube thing, right? When I first started, I wanted to try to get one video done a week. That lasted about, I don't know, 2 weeks before I was like, fuck, dude, this is hard. And so it went to like once every 2 or 3 months. And now we're back to basically twice a week with the podcast. And so, on the point of repurposing, doing a podcast like this is excellent because now all this mumbo jumbo that we're rambling on about can be clipped into shorts and that can be spread out over time with very, very low effort.
It's funny that you say that because as I was looking for the Riverside, shout out Riverside, this app that we're using here. Um, as I was going through our text messages to find that link, I stumbled across all those videos. I'm thinking, holy shit, I still haven't posted. There's got to be 25 different videos in there that I have to post. So I have to start going through those, and that'll help me because I can't, as far as I'm concerned, I can't post enough. Some people, I think the psychology, if you're just getting on social media, because I felt this way, I started getting on and I was really excited and there's a vanity component. I think anybody would be lying if they said when you post something, you're constantly checking how many views am I getting? Is there any cool comments? Am I getting any business out of this? But I'd post one video and then I'd post a second one. And then I'd say to myself, God, can I post a third one? Or is that kind of like selfish? Or are people going to get mad? Not mad, but I don't know why I felt a certain type of way about worrying about posting a third piece of content. And then as I did this more and more, I realized because I'm also consuming, not just creating. I think it's important to be a creator, but I also consume for ideas. And there's things that I like to look at and learn from. And what I realize is the algorithm's really designed for the consumer, not as much for the creator. Meaning, if I love watching Brandon from Bearing Glass stuff and I'm constantly going on your page and scrolling through that, the algorithm is going to put more of your content into my feed. But if there's not a lot of content to put into my feed, I can only see so much of it, right? Like Gary V, he's all up in my feed because I love watching Gary V. And so then that's when it hit me. I'm like, fuck, the gloves are off. I'm going to post as much as I possibly can. Now, I do want to put out decent stuff, but I'm more about the frequency because out of sight, out of mind. I mean, you can post something now and I don't know about you, but I find myself doom scrolling quite a bit. And I could flip through, I don't know, 1,000 different posts in 5 minutes. And so posting one a day can kind of get lost. So my mindset is the more the better.
Yeah,
But
no,
it's hard
I
to
hear
come
you.
up with stuff to post.
I bet, and you're the master at it. And so, yeah, obviously, if you can post multiple times a day, then great. But like most people, I don't think have the capacity to even make that many videos to be posting multiple times a day for like
But it's
years in
not
a row.
because they don't have something to talk about. You
Yeah,
work just as many hours as I do, and I know you're in the same industry as me, so there's stuff that could be documented and put out there, but you have a certain level that you're willing to, like, not compromise on. Like, you want it to be quality stuff, and I respect that. Um, my my urgency comes from because I want quantity over the quality right now. I hope to graduate to a point where I can have both. But that would require another, like, a full time content creation really can be a full time job, but it doesn't have to be. So if you're not creating right now and you have a cell phone, I'd say just get fucking started. Don't worry about what anybody else is thinking. Document or talk about anything that you believe. I mean, I think the first mindset when you're creating a piece of content, what you should be thinking about is who's my demographic to who I want to sell to. Obviously, you have goods and services that you're trying to get out in the free market. You should already know who's your ideal customer. Start creating content that will be digested by those people. And whatever that looks like, whether it be pictures, video, selfie videos, the type of jobs you're doing. I will say, I've had a couple people over the years text me like, man, I post 5 times a day, but I'm not getting anything. And I look at their page, there's not one video of them. You and I have talked about this before. I think some people buy from people they like. Now I can't dictate if you like me or not, but I can dictate if I'm likable. And part of that is showing my personality through the phone. And if they don't see you, how can they ever like you? Like, they're just looking at a photo. They don't know what it could be AI for all they know. They're not they want to buy from somebody that they like and trust. And if you're not willing to put yourself on the camera, you're missing out on the opportunity to kind of fast forward that sales cycle because they're already getting to know you through the content. I've met
Yeah.
you in person. You're the same guy I see on here. And it's like, I would do business with you in a second because I already feel like I know you.
Yeah, and I preach that over and over because I see so many glass companies from basically all over the world. They got the videos and the edits and the photos, figured out because of technology. But you don't see their face ever. You have no idea who they are, right? And so I think that's like a huge missed opportunity. I just started doing it myself after like watching your videos. I'm like, fuck, man, I got to get in front of the camera. I started doing it, and here we are today. And yeah, that's the key, man. Even if you have no glass work to even show, like just talking to the camera is 1,000 times better than showing a finished product or showing anything by just describing literally anything. Just it is almost I tell this to my customers all the time. But I will almost tell them like it almost doesn't even matter what you talk about. You just kind of get your face out there and your person,
Yes.
right? And it literally doesn't
Yes.
matter if things are misspelled or if the audio's bad or if the lighting's bad. You just gotta get your face in front of them repeatedly. That in combination with your finished photos and videos, like that's the ticket right there. That's what I do for Baron Glass. We're killing it. That's what you do. You're killing it. But it takes time, of course, right? It takes a lot of time. And what's that rule that you told me? It's like the 7-11.
Yeah, yeah. Dale Carnegie used to preach that if I had goods and services and you had money, we on average would need to have 7 to 10 touches because during those touches we're building rapport, which is the quickest way to trust. And so you call me, hey, do you do shower doors? Yeah, we do shower doors. Why don't you come into our showroom? Check out our website. So they called you, that's 1 touch. They come in the showroom, that's 2 touch. They go home, they call, they have a few more questions, that's 3. Then they schedule an appointment to go out to the house, that's 4. You send them a proposal, that's 5. But if you're putting out content 3 or 2, 3, 4 times a week, and they're digesting it, now they call you or they come into the showroom, they're willing to do business. I mean, maybe it's not for everybody, but Jay and I realize we're doing business either first or second touch in person because I already got these innocuous Dale Carnegie touches through the social media, which has been a massively time saver. And what it does is it's condensing the sales cycle. So for people that say, well, I don't have time to do social media, I'm telling you, you don't have time not to do social media because it's actually speeding up the sales process to, Dale Carnegie, look it up. I think this book was to influence, or just look up Dale. He's got a book based on building rapport and trust, and it's talking about the sales cycle. And I think that social media just fast forwards that big
Yeah,
time.
And that's like an unmeasurable thing about social media. Cause of course, like when you have social media, you want to look at metrics and you want to understand how many people actually know you from social media, but that's like an impossible metric to measure. But you can feel it when you're able to sell somebody on the first time, right? Or if you have a specific product that somebody wants and they show you your own social media posts on their phone, you're like, oh yeah, that's my page right there. They're like,
I'll tell
what?
you what I know the exact moment when the light bulb clicked for me that that was actually happening because when I started doing the social media, 17, 18, right around that time frame, I'm still working the showroom floor in our North Naples showroom, shower door showroom. And up until that point, I had been working the showroom for about 10 years with no social media. Customers would come in, hey, welcome to my shower door. My name is Keith. How can I help you? Like, oh, we just want to look around. And then they'd walk around the showroom for 5 or 10 minutes. And what they're doing is they're identifying, is this a credible place? Is this someone that's going to steal my money? Is there anything weird going on in the back? Okay, there's not. All right, now I have a question. Will you bid these 2 shower doors for us? Now, fast forward, I'm doing the social media. Customer comes in, they recognize me and they go, oh my God, will you do our shower doors for us? It wasn't even, welcome, how can I help you? The whole sales cycle was fast forward because they didn't have to walk around and make sure there's no pentagrams hanging in the back of the showroom or, anything weird going on. They're like, oh my God, you're the guy, you're the shower door guy, you're all over social media. It already built up that trust and we got right. And not only that, they didn't say, will you bid this? They said, will you do this for us? Which is a completely different shift in power during the sale. Very innocuous, but that little word track, like it hit me. I'm like, holy fuck, dude, it's like cheating. And when that happened, I said, I'll never not do this again. Never.
That's the true metric that you can measure when you start having that happen to you. That's really the only. It's not something that can even be measured. Like you say,
No.
you just feel it, but it takes a while to get there. So how long until you started feeling that that you've been posting?
Okay. It was probably 2.5 years. And with that being said, I was only posting once a day, 5 days a week. It was a little selfie video. They were all over the place. Like if anybody has the time to go all the way back to, I don't even know how you go back to the Instagram. Like you'd have to scroll for days to get, or on LinkedIn rather, you'd have to scroll for days to get back to my first, year's worth of videos. I know they're brutal. I know it, but it still worked. And the consistency is what really, I think, filled that opportunity for them to start to, will you do this glass for us versus will you bid this for us? Because what that told me is the price was no longer the number one component, which it never is. But if they don't trust you, that's what they lean on is, well, your price has got to be good. Your price has got to be good. But once they trust you and they can recognize you and they want to do business with you, it's like the price is no longer an option. They
And
want what they
that's the
want.
entire point. That is the entire point of the talking head video is to build trust, right? So I'm glad that you brought that up. That's like the number one thing is building trust.
And
All
for
right.
me personally, just a little footnote, doing the social media, I know it is for you. Being in the glass world can be just like any industry can get daunting after a while. It can be very repetitious. We're getting kicked in the balls every day with problems, with an occasional win here and there. The social media added an element of fun that I really kind of lost a long time ago. And it gave me new purpose and it brought a lot more positive energy to what I do day to day. I mean, I truly love doing social media. I love it. It's my favorite part of my job.
Yeah, same here. It makes, because obviously we've been doing exactly the same thing for decades and decades. And so now we get to have this creative side to it, which makes a huge difference for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So do you want to just walk us through your process? So you got your phone, you record a video. What do you just upload it directly out of your camera roll or do you run it through a quick edit on your phone or what's your typical process?
Okay. There's certain okay. My first thing is, what am I doing for a video? Like I get in my car this morning. I'm on my way to a job. I'm doing a walkthrough with a new contractor who I met through social media. So I was going to a house. I had never met this individual in person, but we had kind of communicated through Instagram. And I said to myself, man, I got to do a piece of content with this guy when I get there. But I need to understand his personality first, because some people can be a little skittish or overprotective of their customers. I don't want you doing that. But I already in my mind knew that I wanted to do something with him because that's where our relationship started. But on the most part, day to day, when I'm thinking of different ideas, how I edit it really depends on which platform I'm going to send it to first. Like there's certain videos that I do that I'm like, man, this would be perfect for LinkedIn. And
Mhm.
those, I'm more concerned about the script that I put in the text than I am the actual editing of the video. Whereas conversely, if I'm on Instagram, I like to cut out all the dead air. I like to sometimes add caption to it. And the script is not as important for me. I think because I think the people around there aren't looking to read things, they're just looking to look at things. Um, so how I edit it, but most part, all of it's done through my cell phone. And I probably shouldn't say this, but mostly while I'm driving too, because I'm on the road all day.
Hey, it's all good. So you usually like do it like in Instagram edits or whatever platform you're posting on first. You can just add captions like as you're posting.
Yeah, and I have CapCut for other things, but like today was a good example. Through my feed, for some reason, my feed is filled up with this Jeffrey Epstein list, all this shit that's coming out, and it's just littered in my Instagram feed for some reason. Not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not a fan of any of that bullshit, but it just happens to be polarizing right now. It's everywhere. So I said, well, screw it. I'm going to do a video just letting everybody know that nobody in the My Architectural Glass organization is on the Epstein list. Um, which is weird because the first like 10 minutes of that video being posted on Facebook, it had over 1,000 views already. I'm like, this is wild. So I like to take a lot of not only what I'm doing out in the field, but whatever's popular and trending in that moment on social media. A lot of times I like to try and either dovetail or ride on its coattails or repurpose somehow because I already know the algorithm is throwing this subject out there to everyone. Like if I'm seeing it, other people are seeing it. And so it just seems to be more relevant at the time. But as far as the editing goes, most of it is just editing within the platforms in which I'm using at that moment. And then later in the day, I'll make sure to either download it from that platform and upload it to all the other ones
Uh-huh.
because I want to cover as many bases as I can. So if I post it on Instagram, I'm downloading it and then I'm gonna upload it to LinkedIn and TikTok. You know, I think Instagram now allows you, I don't think, I know, if I post on there, automatically goes to Facebook. The problem with that is sometimes I don't get to share it to all those other like specialty groups. Like on Facebook, it allows you to, you know, I can go to the Shower Door Professionals or Glazer Nation, or here locally, we have business groups like the Naples Design District. Like certain videos, I'll make sure to tag in those groups just because I want all those people to see it. How about
Yeah,
you?
that's
What's your
smart.
thought process when you're doing it?
Well, it's very methodical, I guess. Well, if I have an opportunity to get into a project that I know we did some banger glass, and I know that or there's good potential that it can be finished photos or videos, I jump all over it. And so I'll usually ask if I feel like, they're cool people, and they usually say yes if I can just come and take some pictures and videos. But most of the time, I don't just reach out of the blue. I'll wait until like a sweep needs to be adjusted, or there's some kind of reason to be there. We're measuring something else in the house, so I kind of like try to double down by doing uh warranty work myself. So like I have like my little bag with my screwdriver and my shims. There's also a camera in there. So in case the guy who answers the door he seems like he's a douchebag and he would definitely say no, I won't even ask him. Say, okay, I'll be in need about 20 minutes. And then they leave me alone. And it takes me 2 seconds to adjust that door and then ching. So anyway, long story short, I have like a very methodical process on how I take my photos and videos. I organize them. And then later, I'll come up with like a script of what I'm going to say, which I'll have laid out in advance, and I'll try to have like 4 or 5 videos like all lined up in a row, and I'll just hit record and hit them all back to back, and then later I'll edit them all inside of CapCut for PC because I can edit super fast, super high quality, right? And then I schedule those out like over time, and that's essentially my process. It's very rare that I'll just pick up my phone and talk to it and post it that same day. Like I said, I tried that once, but it's just not really my style, right? I don't feel like I could be consistent with that, with all the stuff I have going. I'm sure I could, but I'm a, like you said, I'm kind of a perfectionist. Like I want
Yeah, I
things
get it.
as perfect as they can be. Because we're trying to, it's like a digital storefront, right? I just want everything to be like ultra super perfect. But yeah, so anyway, that's basically my process. Long and methodical and thought out and spread out over time, thought of in advance.
I think of stuff ahead of time, but I've probably forgot about more ideas than I've actually posted. Just because, like you, we have so many other responsibilities, and our supercomputer, our brain, has a capacity, and mine is very small. Okay. But today I had 2 or 3 ideas in mind that I wanted to get done. On my last appointment, it was a mirror that we did probably 3 years ago. They got new lighting fixtures. The electrician went in with a cordless screw gun, shattered the thing. It's still on the wall, but he over tightened the fixture and it cracked. Now I'm walking it. This is in a high rise. Now my goal for 2026, and I think everybody should have goals. One of my goals for 2026 was to try and secure a high rise of architectural glass railings, whether we do the install or at least we manufacture the glass for somebody that's going to do it. But I want to get with an architect or developer to procure this with us. And a lot of them here, actually all of them, will say, well, what jobs have you done that we can reference? And I, you know, I don't have one. Now I know we're capable of doing it, but until they feel comfortable, one of those opportunities isn't going to come to us. So I'm going in this high rise. Now there's 5 of these high rises. The same developer did. It's called Kalia Bay. Tower 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is coming out of the ground now. Well, now we did the first 4, all the shower doors, not the exterior. So walking out of the building, I said, this piece of content is for architects, developers, and anybody looking to acquire new tradesmen for your up and coming project. And you're probably wondering, well, if we're going to give you the job, we want to know, do you have experience in this? And then I kind of move, and you can see we did Kalia Tower 1, Tower 2, Tower 3, Tower 4, Tower 5. So if you're wondering if we have the means to do your project, just know that we've handled all 5 of these, no problem. And if the contractor didn't like what we did in Tower 1, we wouldn't have been in Tower 2. And so I had never thought going into that appointment that this would be a piece of content, but because I had a goal in mind for 2026, that's saying vision drives decision. That vision that I set in the beginning of the year led me to make the decision to do this piece of content because it will help me get closer to achieving that goal. And so I don't always know what I'm going to do, but I know every day I'm going to do something. And as soon as it rears its head, I'm going to try and capture it on camera. And I'm
Yeah,
getting pretty good at getting that camera out real quick and on the video mode real
yeah.
fast, like a
Smartphone
gunslinger.
these days, with the picture in picture mode on the iPhone, that's pretty fire. I'm a huge fan of that. I used it just the other day. Oh yeah, after one of the conversations we had where you send like video messages to your measures or whatever,
Yeah.
like that with a contractor. Like, of course, they're like, take a picture of the sample and send it to us. And so I thought about what Keith said. Like, oh shit, you know what? So I got my phone, I got the picture in picture thing, and I'm holding a piece of satin etched glass like this. I walk up to my buddy and say, okay, look, this is how it looks when you're 2 feet away from the glass. And then I push it to his face. The closer you get, the more transparent it gets. And then I pull it back and I send it to him. And he's like, boom, approved. Like crystal clear, right? Brilliant. So smartphones are excellent for that. But yeah, so the content itself, um, the fact that you did that, so that's what I wanted to rebuttal with earlier is that, like, if you had a goal and you have a specific problem that is going to be asked of you, like where is your proof to an architect, you can essentially give them the proof right then and there or answer the questions. And that's one of my things that I do when I'm making content is like the questions that I get over and over or the products that I know that are most popular. I'll try to make content around those specific ideas or those specific customers that I'm after or that specific thing that I'm after. If I was after glass railings, I probably would have done exactly the same thing as you did. And after listening to you say that, I'm going to go out there to all the commercial jobs that we did glass railings at, and I'm going to get pictures, and I think I'm going to copy you and send those to the architectural firms here in town. So there you go. There you go, folks. There's your free advice. Go get some proof, talk to the camera, put it out there, especially on the Facebook groups of the customers you're trying to go after.
You know, when you anybody that's watching this say, "Oh yeah, I could take a video and send it to somebody," but they almost kind of pass it off like that's not a big deal. But think about like the contractor that you sent it to. He might not use social media at all. And I've had people where I send them just a little selfie video. I'm on my way to your house, or here's that part you were talking about. I have one here in the showroom. You want to see it? I've had not all of them, but I've had clients in the past call me, or when I go to the house and meet them, say, "Dude, you're a genius. I would have never have thought." And all of a sudden they think I'm like Mark Zuckerberg because I sent them a video because no one else did it. Now, it's very easy, almost so easy, it's overlooked for you and I to kind of do that. But remember, there's other people out there that are digesting this that never had that happen to them before. And all of a sudden you send them a video because it adds a lot more context to the conversation versus just texting or emailing. You actually show a video. Some people think, wow, he went out of his way to do this video, when in reality, it was quicker and easier for me to articulate that I have what he wants through a video than actually try and describe it with pictures and words because I write like a fourth grader and spell like a 4-month-old. But never be surprised of how those people are going to receive this because there's people that are literally fucking blown away when I send them these videos and they think like it's this big editing production and I I can't believe you were able to get in front of a camera and show this to me. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I can't actually think of an easier way to show you this than do that, but they don't see it that way. So don't take it for granted. Sometimes that's just a little bit extra that you needed to help close a deal or build that rapport with someone to help get to the next step.
Yeah. So if you're watching this and you've never done that, and we've got some positive feedback on LinkedIn from that short that I clipped out where you talked about that last time, like do that. Like just record your own face on your way to your measure, send it to wherever you're going to meet. You're going to have incredibly positive feedback. But almost more importantly and more strategically, you're going to get more comfortable talking to the camera, which is what
100%.
you need to doing content, which, like I said, you don't have time not to do, right?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I guess we gotta land the plane here. Do you on all your some of your videos are obviously not, you know, shooting from the hip. Like some of them actually you put a lot of time into. Like I think the one where we did like the 6-7, right? That one was pretty good. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this at all, or if you even care. But do you have like B-roll habits, like you know, like a B-roll library, or is each
I
one just on the fly and custom?
Um, I've gotten pretty good and comfortable on doing it on the fly. That said, I have a folder of you call it B-roll, I call it fuck ups that I think would be extremely amusing one day if I put them together to put out there. I might get some criticism for some people, just you'll see why one day when I finally get to a point where I feel comfortable releasing it. But for the most part, I've got where I'm at now, I've gotten really comfortable on being a one-hit wonder, if you will, getting it on the first take. It really depends on what it is I'm shooting, because sometimes I'll start to shoot a piece of content, and I just don't like the words or how I'm saying it, or maybe the lighting was really bad, or I got smudge all over the phone, and I realized this in the moment, it seemed like a good idea, but this is trash. And I don't necessarily delete it, I just don't post it.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I'm long past worrying about what anybody else thinks. Even if I'm standing in public and there's people around me, I don't care. No, for 3 years, I wouldn't do it in public if there was people watching me. I was just so self-conscious, of being judged. I don't know why, I just was, and I think most people, there's a reason why public speaking is one of the most feared things, across all people, and I think this kinda doing these selfie videos out in public is kind of in that same category, but I am well past that stage now, and I'm grateful that I am. I'm more comfortable and fluid in front of a camera, and it's definitely one of the best tools I have in our sales arsenal is being able to capture video to either articulate an opportunity or help solve a problem for a customer is through the video, for sure.
Excellent. Well, I think we're in agreement there. I believe in the power of video so much so that my personal brand is built around it. That's how much I believe in it, and I'm passionate about it. So,
One
uh,
thing I do have to say that you haven't been promoting enough is I hope anybody that's watching this and we clip this has subscribed to the YouTube channel. I noticed some of the videos we got have received more views than others, and that's partially on me. I got to do a better job of posting some more of them, which I'm going to do when we get off of this episode tonight. But please, 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 if you like what Brando and I are talking about here within the glass industry and content creation, please subscribe to Brando's channel because we're committed to doing this not only now, but for the foreseeable future. So if you see any benefit into our content, please subscribe, like, comment, share, and reach out to either one of us if you're interested on being on the show, or maybe if you're one of these big companies in the glass world and you're looking to be at the forefront of sponsoring something, we wouldn't be opposed to those discussions either. Yeah.
yes, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I'm a salesperson. Huh? Yeah, so do that, subscribe. We're here. Reach out to us anytime. If you're in the glazing industry, you want to be involved, get involved. I have several people lined up coming down the pipeline here next couple of months. Some heavy hitters in the glazing industry. We can't wait to talk to. And yeah, if you're in hardware and you want to get your message out to folks such as us, our audience is basically who we are, right? Like glass guys like you and I. Those are the kinds of people that we made this podcast for. So yeah, please subscribe, please like, please share, and yeah, I'll try to do a better job of promoting, promoting the shorts. I guess yeah, we get busy. It's a lot, but I do
Yeah.
I do repost a lot, and we're gonna keep doing that. So
Taking
with
baby
that,
steps, but we're doing it.
yeah, exactly. We're fucking doing it. That's the key. Don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like the very first podcast that we did, 2 weeks passed, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't know if I want to post it." And then one day I was like, "You know what? Fuck it, post." And now that's kind of the mindset that I have. Like, I don't care if it's not perfect, the lighting sucks, or it's something out with the audio. This is real raw stuff happening as it does, and it'll just get better with time. And you know what? Since we started this podcast, like my ability to speak to camera has gotten even better because we're talking to each other, and I'm not just talking to myself down the barrel of a lens. That makes a difference.
Big difference.
All right. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode, like Dr. Dre. Yeah. See you in the next episode.